Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we're going to be talking about propagating and how we can save a ton of money by just creating new plants from what we already have. Okay, so one of my big goals as a YouTube gardener and as a gardener and as a mom of 3 kids and all that stuff is to be more budget conscious, save on money. And one of the best things to do for that on plants is to propagate plants. Basically, propagation is just taking a cutting of a plant and getting it to root. You can get it to root through water, you can get it to root through soil, whatever kind of works best for you. We're going to be focusing on rooting within soil today. And you can propagate with tons and tons of plants. There's lots of different options. You can even do shrubbery. You can take cuttings from trees and start trees. You can do so many different plants with propagating. I wore my propagation shirt for y'all today. I'd propagate that. So some of the things I've done, I've propagated coleus. This is a bunch of coleus right here. I've propagated mums. I've done a lot of variety of things, but one of the things I want to concentrate on today is lantana and Swedish ivy. Now, I've grown a ton of lantana in my gardens over the years. Sometimes they come back if we have a mild winter, and a lot of times they don't. I would like to go ahead and propagate some of these lantana that I have this year that have just been so abundantly beautiful so that I do not have to purchase new plants next year. Now, this is a reminder that propagation is not a quick technique. You're not going to go from this little cutting to a massive plant like really quickly. That's why fall is a really good time to go ahead and start some of those propagation processes. You can grow them inside under grow lights for the entire winter, and then come spring be able to transplant them outside. Okay, for propagating, you're going to need a good length of stem, and we're looking for lengths of stems that have nodes. So anywhere where you see a couple of leaves or stems coming off, that's a node on a stem. So what we want to do is really just come in here, and I'm going to start propagating a bunch of this lantana, not only for myself, but for my friend Kristen, her garden as well. This particular lantana also has seeds, and I have heard that you can start the lantana from the seeds. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather go ahead and propagate. I think that'll be a little bit of an easier process for me. This particular variety of lantana is called confetti lantana. Okay, this next variety of lantana is called luscious marmalade. All right, this lantana is called Texas Gold. And this variety right here is called Dallas Red. And then the last variety that we're going to harvest for propagation for lantana today is this white, lantana white. Okay, so we've got all our cuttings over here ready to go. I want to do at least a dozen of each variety. And on some of them I might do 2 dozen because if they do well, then it'd be really good to hand them off to Kristen. So let's start with some soil. All right, I'm going to start with my favorite potting soil, which is called Burger BM7, and I get it from Homegrown in Farmersville, Texas. And we are going to use my Amazon seed starting trays. And I got these on Amazon. They're super cheap. They work really well for me. They fit, like I said, my budget and my needs. So basically we're just going to add potting soil, and we're going to gently press the potting soil to compact it a little bit, but not too much. We still want it to be, we don't want it to be too tight that roots can't go through it. Y'all hear all that noise? That's my dog. She's rolling on one of my kids' camping bags. Okay, next thing we want to do is fill the water reservoirs at least 50% of the way. And then we will start sinking the soil or the seed cells down into these. Okay, so we've got all of our seed trays ready to go, and I know this looks like a lot on the seed trays. Most of these aren't staying with me. Most of these will go to Kristen's property, and then I can also plant them at my parents' and my mother-in-law's. I got lots of friends and family who would be happy to have some. So let's talk about the actual propagating process. Now, propagation, more of the plant is not necessarily beneficial. We really want to keep things simple so that this little bitty stem that we're cutting can support what's on the actual stem. So we're definitely not going to be leaving any kind of blooms on the stem. Now, coming down and looking, anywhere you see leaves coming off the stem, that is what we call a leaf node, that location on the stem where the leaves are coming off. We want at least one leaf node under the soil, in the soil, because that's where we're going to get roots coming out. Some instances you can get two, depending on how far apart they are. For Lantana, the leaf nodes are closer together towards the base of the stem, and as we get further up on growth, that's when it starts spreading out. Now, propagation does better on stems that are a little bit softer, not necessarily woody. Woody stems are the older stems. We're going to go ahead and try all and see how they do. But basically what we want to do is we want to make sure that we get one leaf node up here, which we've got up here. I think this leaf is going to fall off. All right. We're going to take the additional leaves off. So just like that. So we have a leaf right here with a leaf node at the top, and that's where we'll continue to have growth. And then we have a couple of leaf nodes that are going to be under the soil. Okay, well, typically the next thing I would do is to dip this stem in a rooting hormone. I'll put a picture of that up. I don't know where I put mine. I'm not sure where I ended up putting it. And so therefore, we're going to work without a rooting hormone, which you don't have to have a rooting hormone. It really just increases your chances of having better success with it. So basically, like, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this little cutting all the way down, making sure that multiple leaf nodes are underneath the soil line, at least one, if not two. And then we'll fill up the whole tray just like this. So remember, this soil is moist and ready to go. We're not going to pull the stem up and out multiple times. We're going to put it in and make sure that the soil is pressed up against it, and we should be good to go. So let's do multiple of this beautiful white Lantana. So once again, we're going to take off the lower leaves that are going to be under the soil line. And this has some spent flower blooms, and it's also nice to just kind of cut off a portion of the leaves so it's not supporting big pieces of leaves. And then we'll just stick that down into the soil, just like that. One more time. Remove the bottom leaves. We're going to remove the spent blooms, and we're going to cut these top leaves in half, just like that. Insert it into the soil, making sure that that leaf node at the base is below the soil line. Okay, so we have 2 trays of the white Lantana, 1 tray of Dallas Red, 1 tray of Texas Gold, 2 trays of Marmalade, and then over here, 2 trays of Lantana. Okay, a couple of things about propagation. So I do not put humidity domes on here. I find that with this extra vegetation from the leaves on here, that it can create a lot of disease. You need to make sure that this stays moist at all times. Do not let it dry out or you will lose your cuttings. I check mine every couple of days and see if they need more water, and then I add the water in. It takes a little while for them to get going. I do want to show you my heirloom chrysanthemum. Where are those? Okay, so these are my heirloom chrysanthemum cuttings that I started a few weeks back. Some of them are starting to try to put off blooms, and we want to remove the blooms because we don't want these focusing on making flowers. We want it to focus on making leaves. So I'm just trimming off a few of those now. A lot of these will look worse before they look better. It's like some of these leaves are really brown, but then down in between the leaves I can see new growth coming, so which is great. Some of them just look really lush, looking really good. Some of them look a little rough, but we'll leave them and see how they do because you never know. They might surprise you on some of these. I'm seeing little bitty buds. I'm just snipping those off because, like I said, I don't want it concentrating on making flowers at this point in time. We really want it to focus on making roots. And then let's go ahead and pull one of these out. Let's see if we can see some roots. Oh yeah, we have lots of root growth going down here. So these look awesome. And probably about maybe 2 to 4 more weeks, these will need to be potted up into larger containers. I will take you all through that process where we'll use fertilizer and we'll put these into larger containers and get them going. But these look really, really good. Let's go ahead and head outside and grab some Swedish ivy. All right, I have some lovely Swedish ivy over here that has just done great in the shade garden, and I would love to have more of this for next year. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to cut out some pieces. These snap pretty easily, so I got to be a little bit gentle with them. And this is supposed to be incredibly easy to propagate, which is exciting. Swedish ivy can actually be grown inside as well. And I actually have some variegated Swedish ivy over here. So we'll take some of that as well. And then I also think I'm going to take some of this Tradescantia. This is called Velvet Hills. This is actually going to be going into my greenhouse. But let's go ahead and see because I really like the look of this stuff. So let's see if we can propagate it. It really, truly is amazing how many different types of plants that you can propagate. And fall is a great time to do that because, like I said, you're going to bring it inside, grow it under grow lights through the winter. Come spring, you should have some plants to get started. Some of them will be smaller, some will be larger. My guess is that the Swedish ivy will actually be a pretty good size because it's a fast grower. Now its stems, its stems pop pretty easily, and so you need to be gentle with it. And we're just basically going to go through the same process. I'm going to try to get 1 to 2 nodes underneath. These leaves are a little wonky, so we're going to leave them pretty big, kind of sticking all over the place right now. I'm still going to cut them in half, but this one's definitely going to look a little bit more wonky. But let's go ahead and get through the Swedish ivy and the Tradescantia. Okay, feeling good about that. We got the Velvet Hills Tradescantia, the variegated Swedish ivy, and the standard Swedish ivy. And if these do really well, I would love to do some hanging baskets out of these. And actually mixing all three would be super pretty. It would be really, really nice. But like I said, propagating is actually pretty easy. I like to, when I'm doing a bunch like I was just doing, I just put on some music and enjoy and go through the process. It's a really great way to continue your garden season. Now, there are things you need. You need grow lights. Mine will be under grow lights, minimum 16 hours a day, under grow lights like these. Probably I'm going to put them all under the table so that I can shut these off and not use them, just use what's under the table for the time being. I will need to check every couple of days on them for their water levels, making sure that they do not dry out. I would be very, very happy if I ended up with a 50% propagation rate. Like 50% of them made it. That would be absolutely amazing. Be thrilled. If more make it, well, then I'll have an excess to deal with. But these are just really going to be fun. Save me a lot of money because I did spend a lot of money on Lantana. I bet I spent $150 to $200 on Lantana this last year. And if I cannot do that, that will just allow me freedom in my budget to do other things if I like, or maybe you could just continue focusing on working with the plants that I already have in my garden, propagating them. You can also talk to neighbors, friends, family. If there's particular plants that you love of theirs, ask for a cutting so that you can propagate the cuttings. Like I said, this is a great time of year to do that before the frost hits. Before your freezing weather hits, go out and take a bunch of cuttings and come in and get them started inside. As a reminder, these do not have humidity domes on them. That's the way I do it. I know that some people do like to have humidity domes. I find that it fosters mold and disease because of the way that I cut the leaves in half when I'm propagating, when I'm putting the propagation portions in. It's going to be under the light for minimum. Mine's going to be 16 hours. I would say minimum 12 hours a day. Putting it on a windowsill isn't necessarily going to give you the best results, but you might get a couple that work out for you as long as it gets sun as long as it possibly can every single day. And like I said, as this process goes on, we will have to pot these up into larger containers. I hope by the end of the year, we're potting these up into 4-inch containers. And I hope by spring, I'm potentially potting them up into gallon containers. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, you all, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, seeing me propagate and save by utilizing what I've already have in my garden. Really, really fun. Once again, a project that doesn't really cost me any money except for the soil. All of these other seed starting supplies I've had for multiple years, so they've long paid for themselves. If you are going to be doing some propagation or you have suggestions of other plants I could try propagating, just drop me a comment below and let me know. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow the channel so much. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just drop me an emoji below letting me know you made it to the end of the video and that you say hi. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.